might think. So according to this post that she put up on social media, Natalie Esquire says, Chelsea Gray is the best point guard in the WNBA. That hasn't changed because she has a down year returning from injury. The disrespect.
Natalie Esquire messed up badly. When an NBC reporter decides to downplay Caitlin Clark's dominance in the WNBA, it's bound to backfire.
And when a member of the WNBA media starts going in and giving unbiased opinions about certain players in the league, it does feel a little erroneous considering that people go to these members of the WNBA media for unbiased statistical information. If you're wondering who I'm talking about, it is none other than Natalie Esquire.
But this was an absolute disaster. One tweet, just a few words, and the internet turned against her in record time. Esquire, who already had a history of taking subtle and not so subtle jabs at Clark, decided to tweet that Chelsea Gray was still the best point guard in the league, despite her injuries and lackluster recent performances. Now, Gray is an incredible player, a champion, a veteran, no one is denying that. But was she playing better than Clark? Not even close. And everyone knew it. Twitter exploded. Fans instantly started pulling up stats, receipts, and past tweets, exposing Esquire's clear bias. Clark was leading the league in assists, scoring nearly 20 points per game and making a huge impact in just her first season. Meanwhile, Gray, who was still recovering from injury, wasn't anywhere near those numbers. If Esquire was going to push an agenda, she should have at least picked a player whose recent stats backed up the claim. And here's the thing. This wasn't some one-time bad take. This was a pattern. People dug up old tweets where Esquire had dismissed Clark's accomplishments over and over again. One of the worst? She once accused Clark of stat padding when she was breaking assist records. Imagine calling a point guard selfish for passing the ball. That take alone should have disqualified her from ever being taken seriously again. But instead of backing off, she doubled down. That's where things really went south. Esquire didn't just ignore the backlash, she fought back. She argued with fans, got defensive, and then, in a truly cringeworthy moment, declared, "I am the media." Oh boy, that was the moment she lost whatever credibility she had left. Because at that point, it was clear, she wasn't speaking from a place of objectivity or professionalism. This was about ego. And Twitter? Twitter had a field day. Memes rolled in. Compilation threads of her worst anti-Clark takes went viral. Even her own followers started calling her out, asking why she seemed so determined to discredit one of the league's biggest stars. When neutral WNBA fans, people who don't even ride for Clark like that, are saying you've lost the plot, you know it's over. Then came the inevitable. She started deleting tweets. If there's one thing you don't do when caught in a social media firestorm, it's try to erase the evidence. The internet never forgets. Screenshots were everywhere. It was too late. The damage was permanent. Her credibility? Gone. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark? Completely unbothered. While Esquire was getting roasted online, Clark was doing what she does best, dominating on the court. She wasn't tweeting, she wasn't clapping back, she was just putting up numbers and proving yet again why she's the best point guard in the WNBA. That's the funniest part about all of this. Clark doesn't need to engage in these debates. She doesn't have to argue about whether or not she's the best. She just plays, and her game speaks louder than any tweet ever could. She's bringing in record numbers, selling out arenas, and drawing millions of new fans to the WNBA. The league is benefiting from her presence in ways it never has before. And yet, for some reason, certain members of the media refuse to acknowledge what's right in front of them. Why? That's the real question. Why is it so hard for some people to just admit that Caitlin Clark is great? Instead of celebrating her success, they go out of their way to find ways to tear her down. First, they said she was just a shooter. Then she started racking up assists. They said she couldn't handle physical. Then she bulked up and started finishing through contact. They said she wasn't the best point guard. Then she led the league in assists as a rookie. At what point do these takes just turn into flat-out denial? This is why Esquire's tweet blew up the way it did. People are tired of the nonsense. The basketball community isn't stupid. Fans watch the games. They see the impact Clark is making. They know who the best point guard in the league is, and they're not going to let lazy, biased narratives slide anymore. So after hours of getting cooked, after deleting tweets, after getting ratioed into oblivion, what did Esquire do? Exactly what everyone expected. She went silent. No more replies. No more doubling down, just silence. And that silence, that was the loudest admission of defeat possible. Because if she actually believed what she was saying, she wouldn't have backed down. She wouldn't have deleted tweets. She would have stood by her words. But she didn't. And that tells you everything you need to know. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is still doing her thing. Still proving, game after game, that she's not just the best point guard in the WNBA. She's on her way to being one of the best to ever do it. And there's nothing Natalie Esquire or anyone else can do about it.